Hi there, I'm the managing editor of Blackbright News, and today's cause for concern is the two lorries that caused a pile-up and ended up in 8 people being dead, 6 men, 2 women, and 3 people in hospital seriously injured. Now, I know when I'm on the M1 how frightened I am of lorries, because lorries seem to be the main causes of crashes. Sometimes you glance over to them, they look half asleep. Sometimes they're on their phones. And despite all these safety checks and timers that they put in the lorry drivers still seem to be persisting in driving when they're not fit to drive. It's really, really scary. Personally, I think lorries should have their own lanes. I mean, I heard at one point they weren't allowed in the fast lane. You see them manoeuvring in the fast lane. They're going from the middle lane, then they're going to the end lane. And they should just have a lane allocated for lorries. And those lorries just take their time. Maybe they have 2 lanes. So, you have a fast and a slow lane for lorries only. I do not believe that lorries should mingle with cars. A lot of us, when we're on the road, especially me, if I have to pass a lorry, I'm petrified. I'm wondering if he can see me in his blind spot. I'm wondering if he's concentrating. Sometimes they start indicating and then they don't move over. And it's a terrifying experience. I mean, at least with cars, you can kind of gauge what they're doing. But with lorries, because they're so long and it takes you there's such a long distance before you can actually see what the driver's doing, that you can't estimate and you can't plan the same way you can if you're driving a car. So personally, I really think lorry drivers, whoever's employing them, has to restrict their hours no more than 6 hours. I mean, it shouldn't even be 6 hours, because if you think about it, they reckon when they're teaching that each person has a concentration of 20 minutes. Now, normally when you have classes, you have about 3 hours. And I do not believe that lorry drivers should be able to take a long journey without having scheduled stops every half an hour. And I think that should be factored into their drive. Not how fast they can do it, not how many they can deliver. Because I'm sure that they're being put under pressure, a lot of them. And a lot of them are probably, it's the only job that they can get. Judging from the name Rizgard, that's definitely not a British name. So probably trying to work longer hours, trying to do as much. Apparently he'd been drinking. I mean, where is the sense of responsibility in the driver? Are they just thinking about themselves? Aren't they thinking about other people on the road? Now, that minibus that had 8 people in it, a family who came over from India because they were going to tour Europe, never got to see Europe. And why? Because of some reckless driver and a dangerous driver causing a massive accident on the M1. How inconsiderate. Every time you get in your car, you're driving a machine. You need to be conscious. You don't take things for granted. Every time I get in my car, I pray for a safe delivery to where I'm going and a safe journey back. You can't take it for granted. I've been told that everybody on the road is an idiot. You can't just drive and assume that everybody's driving safely. You can't assume that people are not diabetic and they might have a relapse. You can't assume that everybody's in a good frame of mind. They might have had an argument. You know what I mean? There might be somebody who hasn't taken their tablets for whatever reason. There might be somebody like that driver who's been drinking. There might be somebody who's on some other form of drug or some other high. When people get behind the wheel, we don't know what they're capable of doing. So we have to be so careful, and that's why driving is stressful. And it should be stressful, because when it's stressful, it keeps you alert. It's when you're too relaxed and take things for granted that there are problems. Anyway, peeps, it's bank holiday tomorrow. Keep safe, please.